Okay, the first question is, what inspired you to become involved with this movie?
What inspired me to become involved with this movie was the script straight away. It was given to me by the writer David Frigerio after I'd finished working on another film with Russell Crowe. And he said, "Hey man, I think you guys are going to work really well together in the future. I've got this great script. It's set in the MMA world, and I think you guys would do it." And so we did. And as soon as Russell committed, I jumped in straight away and pretty much started training and spent 3.5 years building this character of the Beast. But it was as much the heart and the relationships, the husband and wife and family element of the story that appealed to me, as well as the fighting.
Great. The next question is, what was it like working with your other cast members, Russell Crowe, Luke Hemsworth?
Working with the other cast was extraordinary. Lucky enough to say it was Russell and I's third film together. As co-stars. He's directed me as well, and then we obviously got to go toe to toe together. He's one of the all-time greats. He's so generous with his time and his energy on a set. With Tyler Atkins, our director, with the entire cast. But to get to go toe to toe with an actor like Russell, with a script and a project like this is something I'll be forever grateful for, and I'll never forget. Luke Hemsworth and I have known each other for 25 years. He's one of my best mates, and we've done plenty together. So whenever he steps on set, we can't help but smile. And creating film and cinema with Luke Hemsworth is one of my favorite things to do in the world. And a great Australian cast, Mojine Aria, Kelly Gale, George Burgess, and Amy Shark. And I must mention Bren Foster, who took over our fight choreography, multiple time world champion martial artist, great actor. And he elevated the fight choreography and the fight scenes in this film to be, I think, some of the best, most realistic, and most intense MMA we've ever seen on screen.
Such incredible collaborators, and of course, a great set, I'm sure. One of the other questions is, how did you prep for the role?
I spent 3.5 years preparing for the role of Patton James. It just so happened that the film timeline kept changing on again, off again with Russell's availability and finance and my availability and whatnot. But eventually, when we got there, it was 3.5 years from start to finish. I started the moment I got the script back in 2022. I sought out one of the best boxing coaches in Australia. I sought out one of the best jiu-jitsu schools, and then I took myself off to learn Muay Thai. From there, I took myself up to Thailand a couple of times to go into fight camp with professional MMA fighters. And as I got better and better, I was sparring with professional fighters up there at fight camp. I was training in the gym. I put on 20 pounds of muscle. I lost a lot of body fat. I worked harder than I've ever worked for a role in my life because people see MMA and have access to MMA 24/7 in the palm of their hand these days. We need to do something that not only looked and felt authentic, but elevated the quality of the martial arts beyond what they had access to at any other time of the day. So that meant putting on loads of weight, being really technically proficient. From an acting point of view, I'm in my early 40s. I had to make sure that my body was working. So plenty of physio, plenty of massage and all that recovery stuff. But also, I had to get into the mind of a fighter and what it took to be a warrior and a lifelong warrior. And so I spent plenty of time in Thailand chatting to some of the greatest MMA and Muay Thai fighters in Thailand. And again, guys, around Australia, professional fighters who just gave me great insight into some of the hardships. Guys like Alex Volkanovski and John Wayne Parr and some of the real Australian legends, to really give some of that nuance into what life in the fight life is really like. So 3.5 years worth of preparation to go into a role like Patton, and thankfully it's all on screen.
Yeah, and all of that preparation really paid off. Our final question is, what are you hoping audiences take away from the film?
I hope audiences go away from Beast inspired. It's a really inspiring story. You've got people, relationships fighting for each other, fighting for family, fighting for marriages, and fighting for their purpose in life, fighting for their identity, and fighting for meaning and fighting to move their life to a better place. And I think that's something that people are resonating with. And I hope that people can't help but get inspired not only by the physicality of the fights at the end, but by the journey that these characters go on, and particularly Patton, who is a powerhouse, on a journey and on a charge. And yeah, I hope people leave inspired.
Amazing. Okay, that rounds out the generic questions.
Sun, sun's coming up.
Oh, great, great lighting. Um,
Mm.
what inspired you to become involved with this movie?
I was inspired to become part of this film because I really I love fighting films. I'm a big MMA fan myself, and the main role was already taken by Dan MacPherson, so I had to go on and take this nefarious character, um, Gabriel Stone, who actually is a lot of fun. He's a really cool character to play, and nice to kind of borrow pieces from car salesmen, used car salesmen, agents of the world, sports agents that I've met and know, and then of course agents of the industry that I'm in. So he's a little bit of a amalgamation of all those things. But yeah, this is I think ultimately it's an underdog story about second chances, and that's always a wonderful thing, a wonderful story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, your character does have an extremely important role in driving forward the plot. So how did you prepare for this role, this character?
Um, well, I learnt the lines first of all. uh, no, yeah, like I said, this character is uh, pulled from a lot of interactions I've had along the way with these higher up corporate people who are holding the keys to a lot of the gates. And there are some really wonderful people out there who are in charge of these things, and then there are some people who are questionable in their motives and questionable in the things that they do. So I approach it from the point of view of let's marry all that together, but let's keep him real, uh, let's keep the threat, grounded, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Along that same vein, I mean, like you said, he's kind of a complex dude. He's a lot of different parts. So were there any scenes that were difficult to film?
Um, uh, Difficult. The scene in the gym was probably the most difficult, only because of the logistics of having, five or six, actors in the one space, and the scene being 5 pages long, and just trying to get everyone covered in a meaningful way, and still drive the story forward. I think those ones are always a little bit difficult. It's it's definitely more fun and interesting and more explorative, I think, to be in a scene with just two people. Like those scenes with me and Dan where we're just together. They're the ones you just eat up, and you absolutely you love that. You love being able to bounce off one person. Um, but it's still no part of my brain that doesn't love every minute of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, there's a lot of people in that scene. There's a lot of tension, and the camera's got to catch it all. I imagine it's complex. But like you said, there are some other scenes where you work with some other characters as well. So what was it like working with the other cast members on this film?
It was great. I mean, they're all fantastic. Amy Shark. I think this is her first film. Mojin is obviously he's a very accomplished actor. He's fantastic. Bren Foster is first and foremost probably like one of the most legitimate martial artists you've ever seen in your life. He's got two martial arts schools that he has founded and runs. He's obviously a huge part of the the choreography of this film. Um, it was a very it's very intense set, but a very loving and giving set as well. You know, like there's not it's very easy to think that everyone was very combative behind the scenes, but it's all in service of the film, and it's done in a way where you come away just going, I really resonate and love you as a character and as a person. So it was cool. It was a cool set. Mm.
That's wonderful to hear. I mean, I hope you guys weren't duking it out and punching each other on the set.
Yeah, no, too pretty, too pretty.
Right. So, what were some of your favorite memories or scenes from the set then? Because you had such a great experience.
I really loved the scene when I first meet Dan's character. I think that was really cool, and we're sort of dreading that one a little bit in terms of of whether it was going to be interesting enough, and trying to trying to have the right amount of antagonism, but also empathy. It it felt like it was going to be a real slog to begin with, and it just ended up being an absolute joy. And I think that's a testament to Dan McPherson, and just how good he is. It's very very easy to work alongside great actors. It's much more it's much more of a tennis match, rather than just hitting the ball against the wall by yourself.
Absolutely. You can't act against a wall. Your scenes were great together.
Thank you.
Veering a little bit more into the world of MMA, UFC, like you said, you're a huge fan of fighting. Who's your favorite MMA fighter? The people want to know.
Oh, I think Paddy Pimblett at the moment. I love Paddy, and my my daughter actually loves him as well, and she's constantly quoting him all the time. She likes to call me a little chorizo. She's like, "You little chorizo, you little mushroom." Um, yeah, Paddy's amazing. I met Volk the other day, Volkanovski. What a wonderful young man. Incredible fighters. Yeah, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But it's a bit different here in Australia because of the time difference. So Sunday lunchtime is when the MMA, the UFC viewership starts. So yeah, it's a little bit of a different vibe, but still, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. When you love something, you enjoy it no matter what time of the day it is, even if it's brunch time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of taken the spot of Sunday football. It's Sunday UFC now, Sunday fighting, which is great. And my kids are kind of loving
Yeah.
it.
Sharing your passions with them. Lastly, our question would be, what are you hoping the audiences will really take away from this film?
Um, well, I mean, I hope they're blown away by all of the fight stuff. I think uh, it is unique, and it is definitely elevated above many of the films that I grew up loving. I think the fight scenes in this are so kinetic and realistic, and um, incredibly fast and specific. But I have a hard time finding something to compare it to. Maybe The Raid, or but again, different types of films. I hope people take away this love of the underdog story, the second chances. I think there's a few characters in this film that get a second chance, and ultimately, the sacrifice, the things we sacrifice for family. I think that's a big part, big message of this film.
Absolutely. Many very powerful moments and plot lines from this film. Well, that's everything we have. Thank you so much for answering those questions for us, Luke.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So, first question, what inspired you to become involved with this movie?
Well, firstly, it had to do with martial arts and whatnot, and there seemed to be a great cast attached, and I guess it was just another opportunity for me to jump in and put my acting and my martial arts together. So, and the fact one championships was involved too, so there were a lot of key factors that came together to, let's just say, create a nice little storm.
That's awesome. How did you prep for this role?
Um, Physically, I'm always I'm always ready physically. Sounds a little bit egotistical, doesn't it? But no, look, I'm always training martial arts. I own a really large martial arts school in Australia. I'm always training. There's never a week off or time off. It's part of my life. It's part of who I am. A lot of the preparation as an actor, let's say, I wasn't too far removed. You know, a few moons ago, I was fighting. So I knew what that entailed, but I was a very more reserved, more respectful, more traditional type where I think Xavier Gra, he was a little bit more of a outward extrovert, but there was a lot of layers to him, a lot of like deep-seated stuff that was going on inside him. So it was an opportunity to explore a different type of fighter, and obviously, you know, from my years of experience, I was able to look at different fighters and see how they'd react at press conferences and understand how they would react in certain situations in terms of the negotiations for fighters. And I was able to look at that and adopt that for the character. So that was a little more preparation in terms of the character side of who Xavier was, as opposed to the physical side. Because as I said, physical side, I'm always training, I'm always ready. So that's a very easy adaptation, let's say.
That's awesome. So seeing as you had sort of that like physical background, and I guess you worked on your acting, were there any like difficult scenes to film for either?
No, no. Difficult, yeah, in terms of the endurance and the physicality, because we just shot day after day. I think in the underground fight, that was a night shoot. So, obviously your body clock is a little bit out of whack and you're up all night trying to do the physical stuff and sweating and take after take after take after take. Um, so that was quite difficult, but luckily enough, in the underground fight, my son actually doubled the actor there, so I got to play with my son and go back and forth pretty hardcore with him. So some of those shots in that fight were pretty good because we were really laying into each other, which we both enjoyed. And then obviously when we got to the main fight with Daniel in Thailand. That was rough, and Daniel, unfortunately, towards the end, he sustained an injury, not at my hands. It was from his own team picking him up. I'm sure he would have talked about in different press interviews that he's done. But yeah, look, that was pretty hard too because it was day after day. And look, in a real fight, you jump in, you got 5 3-minute rounds, or three 5-minute rounds, or 5 5-minute rounds if it's a championship fight. 25 minutes or 15 minutes or 9 minutes and you're done, right? This, you're going full speed, full power, obviously pulling your punches and at times just punching across it, but it's non-stop. It goes for 10 hours and you're going, you're going, you're going, you're going. So I guess that's where most of the difficulty lies.
That sounds really fun though, getting the chance to work with family. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
Jay
guess
did a
just
great job.
aside from that, then how is it working with the other cast members, seeing as you had such varying hours and were in different countries and all of that?
Oh, it was great. Look, the cast is great. I know Luke Hemsworth, and I know Daniel. We've worked together a number of times in the past. So it was an easy breeze. They're mates, so it was nice. It was easy. Met Russell Crowe for the first time, and he was great. And obviously Tyler, the director, fantastic. Producers, John and Mike were fantastic. So look, it was a really good experience.
That's great. Do you have any favorite scenes or memories on set?
Yeah, I really like working with Jay, my son, when we were doing the fight scene. Yeah, I mean he's not a little boy; he's in his 20s, but it's good to like. And we in training anyway, we pulverize each other, so that was a lot of fun. It was also a lot of fun working with Daniel. Daniel was stepped up to the plate with only a couple of years of martial arts training, But he really came in and for someone who was an actor primarily before he started training a little bit of martial arts, he never took a step back. He came in and really gave it everything he's got. He didn't back off at all. So that's a testament to his commitment to the character.
How did your son get involved with the movie?
Well, I did all the fight choreography for the movie,
Hmm.
so all the fights, the major fights, and whatnot. So, and that's a form of creation. So at my gym here in Australia, the cast and some of the crew came down, and the director obviously, and myself and our core team, which is Jalen and Jimmy Foster, my son and my nephew and myself and Nick Harding. We come together and we created the fights, So creating those fights in the gym and having, Jimmy J and Nick all with me and creating, and then Daniel stepping in and creating there, and the other actor for the underground scene creating there and teaching them the fight scenes, training them up. That's how the family got involved, and that it's essentially it's our fight stunt team, which we just specialize in the martial arts. So it was great having them around, and you can see the finished product. And I think just, coming together and, as I said, having the whole family involved in it, which is our stunt team, and working on those fights and training up the actors to get those fights happening. That I should have said that was one of the best experiences.
That's really cool then. Obviously you're a fan of MMA, UFC, it's a part of your life, but how did you really get involved with it?
With martial arts, oh,
Hmm.
my mum, when I was 6 years old, she started me in some karate classes, and then from then it just slowly progressed. I mean, I had my first kickboxing fight when I was 12 years old, and I and then introduced into Muay Thai. I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the year 2000 when the highest rank in Australia, who was there was only a few purple belts at the time. We didn't even have a black belt stuck in Australia teaching. So, I had a great instructor who's still my instructor today for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Anthony Parosh. So I just through the years I've always been so deeply ingrained in the martial arts since I was 6 years old and trained across so many different various styles, and then living in the United States for 11 years and training and teaching at the Hollywood Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai Academy. I guess I've rubbed shoulders with everyone from world champions to UFC fighters to one fighters to everyone. So it's been a huge part of my life. I've had quite a few actually professional fighters and UFC fighters. They come to me and seek me out for help with their kicking technique. They really wanted to adopt and improve their kicking predominantly. So that's an area I specialize in, along with everything else. But yeah, so I've been involved in it for my whole life, really.
That's awesome. I'm sure this is a hard question for you, but do you have a favorite fighter?
Do I have a favorite fighter? Yeah, my daughter and my nephew and my son. We just had an amazing
Oh,
weekend. Yeah, we had an amazing weekend of fights. This weekend, a couple of weekends ago, Jimmy, my nephew, is a professional fighter too. He just absolutely dominated in his fight. So look, there, Jimmy's a professional, and my daughter and my son are up and coming. So I've got to be honest, they're my favorites.
oh, that's great. And I guess final question is, what are you hoping audiences will take away from this film?
I would really like them to look at the choreography and really appreciate the work and the execution, because it's not just about the choreography, it's the level of execution that it's done with. And I'd also like to see an insight into the fighter's mindset. Far too often, I feel you've got all these fighters, MMA fighters, doesn't matter what league, whether it's one, whether it's UFC, that they put so much heart and so much soul, and it costs them mentally, physically. It's such an arduous task getting up every day to fight, and just seeing and the struggles that, whether it's a champion, whether it's someone on their road up, it's hard mentally as it is physically. And hopefully, it gives a little bit of an insight into the fighter's world and the fighter's mindset, and to understand, for people to understand that they're real human beings. They love, they hate, they cry, they laugh, and they go through so much chasing their dream of being the world's greatest fighter. And far too often we see fans just, oh, he's crap. Oh, he's this. And all these internet warriors disrespecting fighters. Where if they could just for a moment step back and have a look at the journey and the arduous task and the mental impact and the physical impact that it takes for fighters, whether they're champions or whether they're just on the journey to try to become a champion, that it costs them. And if people can just look at this film and have a little bit of an insight of what it truly is, maybe they can afford them a little more respect and not so quick to just dismiss their fighting prowess if they lose or judge them, or just understand that they're humans and they work so bloody hard and they should have a lot more respect. So I hope that they can look at this film and see that. And art has always been the at the forefront of changing things and changing mindsets. So maybe it can look at the people who are so dismissive and more often than not a little rude about fighters, and maybe it would initiate or enable them or help them to see that they should give a little bit more respect to fighters.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, I feel like especially with such a physical sport, people just kind of tend to jump to conclusions and assume that it all goes boils down to like physique and things like that, but it's so much more than that. So,
No,
thank you.
absolutely not. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
okay,
much more than that.
yeah. I'm gonna end this recording.